Dr. Paul Wang is the leader of this American delegation from Vietnam Assistance for the Handicapped.
The physical therapists and rehab specialists here are technicians with very limited amount of expertise. As far as what the people and the disabled people here need, they need everything. Everything from wheelchairs to adaptive equipment, braces, prosthetics, or just simply access to care. One specific case that we saw today was the young boy. He had many of the necessary intrinsic reflexes to be walking, but for some reason he's not. And at this stage he should be walking, and even with the disability we think he could be walking if he had the access to care.
Also in Da Nang, we went to this clinic, largely supported from the United States with both private and government money. It provides help for everything from physical therapy to corrective surgery. This was its very first day of operation, and from the moment we got out of our car, as elsewhere, we saw people with all kinds of problems, although no proof that Agent Orange is at the root of their trouble, except that they all live close to the old air base. Mark Conroy runs the program for a foundation called East Meets West, one of 3 non-governmental organizations in partnership with USAID to deliver humanitarian help in Vietnam.
Well, as you may know, the dioxin problem has been in Vietnam for a long time. It's been a hot political issue, and there's been very little scientific evidence to pinpoint exactly what disabilities may be related to dioxin contamination. So while we run the program, we can't make that differentiation. So we just choose anybody and everybody with disabilities to provide services to.
And that's okay with your funders?
Yes, that's fine.
Like USAID?
Like USAID.
Some of those people can lead productive lives. Win Ngoc Phuong has figured out how to function in Vietnamese society. He works at fixing motorbikes, which are ubiquitous in this country, although, because of his afflictions, there are limits to just how much he can do.
My health is not as good as other people, so I work like other people, just as normal, but my productivity is not as high as normal people.
Finally, there's what we saw in Quang Ngai province. Thanks to a local branch of East Meets West, Duan, whose mangled legs were amputated more than a year ago, has just gotten 2 prosthetic legs. And if ever you want to meet a young man who sees a future he couldn't see before, it is Win Duc Duan. Have you ever been able to stand before?
Before, I could not stand straight like this. Before, I never had this kind of balance.
How does it feel to be able to do this?
Now I feel more and more comfortable when I walk, when I stand.
Duan will go now to Ho Chi Minh City to earn a degree in electronics. And also thanks to East Meets West, and for just a few dollars a day, tutors and therapists have spent nearly a year now with Chi, the teen who shows severe symptoms of cerebral palsy. And now she not only has learned how she can put rice in a spoon and put it to her lips, but slowly, laboriously, and triumphantly, she can walk. This little journey of maybe 30 feet from the family table to the bed took Chi more than 5 minutes, but after a lifetime of total immobility, she did it herself. For many Americans, the humanitarian motive for helping people like this is motive enough, but for some, there's another good reason why helping Vietnam do what it cannot do alone will pay off in more ways than one.
Vietnam is definitely growing into a country that is going to be, I believe, a leader in Southeast Asia. They're very strategically placed geographically, economically, and just about every other sense of the word. I mean, everybody these days wants to be a friend of Vietnam. But we do have sort of a special relationship with Vietnam, and I want to see us make the most of it.
The relationship between the United States and Vietnam seems pretty good.
It's very high, I'd say.
Is this a sticking point in getting higher?
I think that it's an irritant. I do think it's an irritant. I think it's something that we do need to face and to deal with, and I think that we're beginning to do that right now.
Are you satisfied, as an American, as a member of the dialogue group, with the help we've given so far and the help that is at least so far on the horizon?
I'm very optimistic that people have begun to understand this problem, whether it's the Vietnam veterans, the U.S. Congress, the media. People have understood that this is just a pretty clean and clear moral issue, which is if you leave a mess, you ought to go back and clean it up when you possibly can.
Which the Vietnamese appreciate, although giving $3 million when the cleanup alone might require 60, to say nothing of humanitarian needs, that seems to some not nearly enough.
$3
million. And you know there are 3 million people, Vietnamese victims. If we did the math, and that $3 million helped all 3 million victims and did nothing else, then each Vietnamese victim would get only...
Everyone victim in Vietnam, only $1. You can eat only phở.
Noodle.
Một bát phở.
One noodle.
Một bát phở, một bát.
One bowl of noodle.
One bowl of noodle.
But as bad as things might be, until local citizens fully understand the potential dangers of dioxin, it is possible that yet another generation will grow up exposed to the poison and whatever pain it produces. The pain of a nation that believes many of its citizens are still suffering from a war that should have ended when the United States went home. Whether the new American involvement will lead to more money, and whether it will effectively bring an end to the lingering ghost of Agent Orange, is still an open question.